Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss, and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Shoop. Good morning. Well, we've got a brand new week, and it looks pretty slow to me. Well, actually, take that back. There has been a bit of a move up. Well, let's see here. Let's grab them links. So here is the Twitch link. The Twitch link. And
more short.
And there is the YouTube link. Alright. So as you can see, the mini has had a little bit of a fallback, but it's nothing too dramatic, and it's pretty equal to, you know, this little move up here in the regular session. And, you know, a corresponding move down in Treasuries here. Things do look pointed down, but we're kind of at support, so I don't know if we're gonna go, I guess. If we go down to the downside, there is that 30 below us and 29. Move it there. 29 and 30. All right. So that's that bit. Some of my charts are a little screwy because there was nothing yesterday. Okay. Bitcoin, meanwhile, making a bit of a run yesterday. You can see moving up here quite aggressively, pushing higher highs sort of action. And it looks like they're attempting to do it again here at 39. Or, well, just below 4,000. If they run out of steam, I think it could be very ugly on the way down. And my indicator says that we can't get above 4,300. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Not that we can't get above it, but above 4,300, we are extremely overbought. Oh, you know what? This is probably a little bit too loud. Let's fix that. How's that? Does that sound good? I think so. Very good. All right. Don't need that. Squawk still doesn't work. Okay. We don't have any significant news today. Tomorrow we have durable goods and Philly Fed manufacturing. Oh, that's Thursday. Unemployment. Wednesday we get the Fed meeting minutes. And Friday we got a couple of Fed speakers. So this is not a time frame very conducive to action. Okay. So yeah, I don't know if we've got a very good setup for a lot of action today, unfortunately. J Constant, I sold my Bitcoin at 38.88 and now I FOMO. Oh, hi. J Constant, I'm pretty sure you've been here before, haven't you? That name looks very familiar to me, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, having it come up here to 4,000 again. Yeah, this is, it's, it looks very overbought, and the move happened, like when everybody was out on vacation. You can just kind of see here, like, look at the cumulative delta. It was up to 4,000. They dumped. They bought here, they dumped, and now it's going up again. Kind of squeezing. And there's kind of an interesting thing set up here. I subbed, and now and then I come by. Oh, well, thank you for continuing to follow along. Yeah, I understand it's maybe not always something you want to do every day, but it's nice to have people come in, lurkers or new people, or, you get a mix of different perspectives every day instead of the same people every day. See, we've just had 3 ticks up, but not on a ton of volume. You see that they're bidding it up, only 690 to bid it up, and 3,000 on the bid. Oh, that's interesting. The AMP futures allows you to trade, yes, for $300 margins, but they increase the fees that you pay. Bond supply calendar. What is this? Ooh, I like that. T-notes. February 14th. When was that? There was a significant increase in supply on February 14th. I wonder how that is Yep, one of the problems with doing the Top Step Trader Combine is that if you pass, you have to pay institutional data fees. So it's like $100. Would only do it if you are really good and proven. See, on a move like this, it's tempting to get in. It really is. But honestly, we've moved up on almost no cumulative delta change. It could flip around on us very easily. So it's probably better to just stay out or be skeptical. And maybe counter trade it, like maybe we could go short at 0.25 here. They're probably going to have a hard time beating out 035. We'll see what happens. Oh, where's my Twitter? There we are. Gonna keep this up here. Actually, I don't do it from here, do I? I've been doing it from Chrome because Chrome makes the sound. This one done for some reason. Brave is too good of a browser, that's the problem. Not even kidding. It's too good of a... I hate it when that happens. There we go. No, yeah. So one of the things that happened this morning was that Donald Trump was comparing the cost of building the wall to the cost of the train project in California. And, that it was many, many times more expensive. And I'm like, oh, great. So now California basically has no choice but to double down on this train project because Donald Trump criticized it. Strong Walmart earnings add another piece to confusing U.S. retail puzzle. That is confusing. You know what, Origin? We don't need you. Quit. Quit Origin. Nobody wants to see who's signing in. Should probably go in and turn that off. Well, for a slow day, sure do have a lot of people joining in and visiting us this morning. So I don't know if that means that there's a lot of people here ready to trade markets after the long weekend, or if they're all getting really, really bored and they're looking for something to occupy themselves while they sit and watch this. What was this here? Yeah, the Fed minutes tomorrow and auctions this week. So, are there T-bill auctions this week? Let's Treasury Direct. Upcoming auctions. Okay, so today is the 19th. We got the 8 weeks, 26 weeks. Oh, and we got notes too. We got 2, 5, and 7 years. I don't see any 10-year, 30-year on the calendar. Those are already passed. Oh, no, wait. That's the announcement date. Auction date. It's the 21st. 25th is when the auctions are for these ones. So next Monday. Should have cleaned my crystal ball a bit better. I mean, it's going. And they did beat out the last swing high or two. And pretty soon they're going to be threatening the high of the day. On almost no volume. A little of both. This is easy. I did make some profit, but sold too early. It really sucks to miss the pump. I see. So you're saying that you bought it down at like 3,000 somewhere and then missed the big pump. That's only like 50% increase, right? Only. Any other investment would be like, wow, 50%, that's pretty good. I hope Bitcoin pulls back today. Yeah, well, the tendency has been that when my indicator gets above 150, that it's going to be turning back around. I bought at 3,500. I see. You bought at 3,500, sold at this 38, or this pump yesterday, and then the first pump, I guess, and then when it pumped even higher, you missed it. I gotcha. You may have done the right thing though, because so that's where I'm saying, like, it can be useful to subscribe to my Patreon and get those updates every day, because I did the calculation yesterday, and it's up there. 4,300 is like the upper end of the range. So if you're in, you know that you can potentially stay in until the indicator gets above 150. But once the indicator gets above 150, then it's like the crash is like, it's coming, man. It's inevitable. There's too many people that have bought in compared to the number of people actually using the ecosystem that they have to sell. Like it either sits there forever and does nothing, or it just immediately sells. But they can't. It's like they can't hold that price, because you would need new people to come into the market, and the problem is that you have this move up, and there's not new people coming into the market, and we know that because we can look at it. We can look at the transactions. So really, what's happening is there's somebody, and it's probably been the same person this whole freaking time, but there's somebody out there that has no clue what Bitcoin is really worth and how to really value it, and he's buying it and pumping it up there and then selling it, and he's probably making enough money on everybody else buying his pumps that he thinks it's okay, instead of getting out at the top here and making a lot more money. How long does it take to get to 4,300 if it goes there? I don't know. One of the things that was interesting was back in like last May, I think it was, when we pumped up to 10,000. I mean, that's how I would look at it. Go and look at when we went to 10,000 and what happened, because that one took a long time to turn around, didn't it? And it took a long time to finally like deflate. So this could go on for months, I think. It looks like 147 even is going to be a cap today, unless this thing explodes with buying. Where is that on? Aha. I don't know. If we got to 147 in treasuries, that would be pretty significant in my view. That would be pretty significant in my view. Now, one thing I want to point out in ZB, you know how we use like the bull bear zone sort of a thing? Well, because of where the action has been, it actually gave us a double bull bear zone here. You see that? And you kind of you can see a double distribution in it too. I don't know. But you see, if we got above 147, then that was above the February 15th highs. before we, like really dumped. So that would be like a rejection of this move and a push higher. So I'm skeptical that we can even get into that. And the thing is, what's driving this? Well, I can see on this move up, there was a little bit of a move up in the Japanese yen. You can see that. Yeah, same here with the 6E. FGBO, that's not particularly useful. Oil moving down. So I guess we could say that we're continuing to see currency volatility. There's been size there for like a week. Really? Can I see it up there? Oh yeah. There is. There's 1700 up there. Yeah, but just because there's a lot of size up there doesn't mean that it's going to happen. I mean, there's always going to be a lot of size right at the evens. But 1751 is a lot. It's the biggest one on this side. Oh yeah, see at 16 there's 8,000. That too is really far out there and unlikely. And then there's almost 5,000 at 25. Well, we'll have to see what happens. This move up, to me, is very surprising. And out of nowhere. And I don't think there was really any way for me to have predicted it. It started ticking up and it kept going. And how do you know that when it ticks up like that, very light volume, that it's going to continue ticking up like that? You don't, because it's like potentially one guy. It's like potentially one guy that's putting most of the size on the market, just pulling his orders and ticking it up for all we know. He might not have any real reason to do it. And it might just be the currencies moving. But I can't be sure. But if it's just the currencies moving, I think I might need to make this a little more granular because there's just not enough volume in 6J. But if the currencies are what's driving it, then we could look there for where we pivot. Yeah, I don't think it will get there, not today at least. We seem to back off above 24. Still not getting sounds. What's with that? Investors panic after U.S. fund manager arrested in Russia. Yeah, that would make me panic. Oh, man. Okay, so this is a previous high. Let's move this back over here. Like another thing that I'm looking at is like, look at the big orders over here in the 10-year. So we just had what? There's a 05. So 0 to 04. 5 to 045. That'd be 8 ticks. So we just had an 8-tick move up. It only took 1,000 cumulative delta to move us that far. It's actually come back in cumulative delta almost completely. Okay. And are there any big orders? Not a single big order. One at 1,000. 1,000 lot at 015. And that is basically it that has driven this whole move. So the problem is maybe it's currencies that are driving us up. And this could continue up for who knows how far. But almost any big fish could come and flip it around. They could come in and you might see a little bit of a panic buying up here if it breaks a new high, and they might just absorb and completely flip it the other direction. And we also don't know which way the E-mini is going to move. Stupid currencies. Because that's the other thing, as I don't really see anything too significant. I mean, there, like we said, there are some auctions for weekly bills. Not something that I've ever found necessarily really affects us, but I followed you the day the future started. I still have issues to understand your screen. Oh, Adri, you know, that name sounds familiar, and maybe I remember you from that day. That was a crazy thing, wasn't it? I remember I posted that, and that was the first time that I streamed. There was like 8,000 people in chat. Like, holy crap. And so many questions, too, because almost nobody understood futures. So I guess there's nothing really going on, so I'll try and explain it for you again, okay? So the blue column are limit buy orders. Those are people that have a buy in to buy at that specific price. Like if I went to buy at 040, I would become one of these 3,000 people in line in this blue column, right? And then the red column are the sellers, right? Limit sellers at 045, okay? The columns on the inside are people buying and selling into those, matching into that, right? So here's the sells, here's the market buys that hit into those sells, and here's the market sells that hit into those limit buys, right? So we can see, so the reason that matters is I can see 1,353 orders bought into it. Okay, 2,000 orders bought into it to make it go bid. And then about 300 went bid, and then they sold it down. Okay, now there's 2,000 bid, right? So there's quite a bit of buy supply here now at 045. Okay, and normally what we will see happen is the offer will pull, you know, so like 1,000, that's pull, and then the buyers will hit into it because there's not a lot being offered there. We tick up, maybe we only tick up with a little bit, and then, you know, they go back and forth, or finally that bid firms up, and then we start trading up to the next price. Fed's master reduction in balance sheet is likely putting upward pressure on longer-term interest rates. Okay. Not far behind or ahead of curve, and can gather information on economy before adjusting rate policy. Well, okay, that one's the one that the market is worried about. So that was an interesting kind of comment. I would like to see the context of that. Most likely scenario is economic growth will slow this year, job growth will slow, inflation will stay near 2%. Fedmeister, federal funds rate may need to move a bit higher if economy performs as she expects. Donald Trump. As I predicted, 16 states led mostly by open border Democrats and the radical left have filed a lawsuit in, of course, the Ninth Circuit. California, the state that has wasted billions of dollars on their out-of-control fast train, with no hope of completion, seems in charge. He's really going after Democrats this morning. I am surprised that he has not tweeted about Bernie yet. Because Bernie, if you guys did not catch that news. Bernie Sanders has announced that he is going to run for president this year, which is not surprising because we found out last week that he was recording a video, a campaign video, so we expected him to jump into the ring. I should have known that it would have been Tuesday because, right after the holiday. But yes, he's jumped in the ring. Donald Trump has not said yet anything, but he is on the twit. He's got the phone in his hand. He's typing stuff. Well, if the federal funds rate moves a little bit higher, that would put downward pressure on bonds, wouldn't it? Still, like, man, who knows? Maybe we do see that 147 Uzi. I mean, this is a really strong move up that I really don't understand. Tappity tap tap tap. I think that's supposed to be the sound of Donald Trump typing on his phone.
Block buy.
Okay, now we are seeing some block orders, and he bought at 06. For real, I may have to take that back. You're right. He said that, for those of you that are just catching in and didn't hear what he said earlier, Uzi was saying, oh, there's a lot of offers up at 147, but I really don't think that we'll get there today. That would be too high. And now it's looking much more likely. Yeah, and the volume is increasing up here. But somebody just decided to take a short there at 06. 3,000. Taking it on the offer. I could take this one. Where was the thing at? It was at 06. So when I see a block buy, it's pretty common for them to try and fight it. For them to try and catch this guy and push it down 2 ticks. So if I was looking to buy, I would maybe have a good chance of getting 05 half. If I'm looking to sell, I could sell 06 half perhaps. I don't know if you would get filled at 06 half yet. But right now they're showing you just 06. I'm not too sure about it because when you see a block buy like that, it could mean anything. And it was such a strong move up. I think that I'm going to need to see a little bit more significant of a change to want to go short against this. Because as people have mentioned, we've moved up. This was a very, very strong trend up. Very strong momentum up here. And there is more interest up here now that we've pushed to new levels. Which means that at the very least we could range around here a little bit before falling down. So I think that you want to go short, you would want to wait a little bit and see if it gives you a stronger signal of some sort. Or wait 30 minutes for the E-mini to open up. But this move is not correlated with anything in the E-mini. And although the 6J has been moving up, and the 6E has been moving up, they have not been moving up nearly as strongly as the Treasuries have been. You know what I need is duplicate in a new tab. Do I have the British pound on here? That would be 6G, right? Australian dollar, British pound, here we go, 6B. Okay. British pound is not moving. Here I can't see. I can't see the bund. I might as well just close that because you can't see it. Hmm. And the other weird thing about this move up is that the futures aren't necessarily buying them. There's a move up on a flat delta in the currencies. I will still need to hold, don't have stats on that. It's interesting. Okay, so there's 07. So this is where I'm saying that, like, you wanted to go short, it would not be crazy to be doing it at 07. Other than the momentum, right? That just means that I was right to be skeptical about taking it short at 06. You know what else is interesting is that my 10-year Vista chart, the liquidity, the top one, is showing red here after that block buy. So it seems like the 10-year is running into pretty significant resistance here. So Digital Shot is looking for somewhere around 095, which is interesting. Why there? Because that is where that previous swing high is. What about in the 5-year? The 5-year still has a bit to go. Here on this move, are we seeing a real change in the spread? Not really. Not really. I mean, yes, the 5-year flattened a little bit. The 5 and 10-year flattened a little bit, but only just to the bottom end of its range, and the 30-year steepened a little bit, but only to the top of its range. They're kind of going in opposite directions. They're pulling each other in opposite directions, which means that the 10-year is lagging. Oh, no, it doesn't mean that the 10-year is lagging. It means that the 10-year is pushing up harder than the others, right? Yeah, I guess it's not 16, it's a 15 tick move. Okay, that 075 is not given up at all yet. But they are buying into it. Okay, and somebody decided to take you short there. This is where I need to be on my toes. Okay, now the E-mini is selling. Let's see if anybody's seeing anything in here. Back up there. The stacking and pulling is blue as well. So as much as I would like to go short here, I still couldn't justify it. Yeah, it could go long. Could go long, but how far is it actually going to go? The trend is subsiding a little bit. It could happen. Guy on CNBC asked if Walmart traffic was down. Takes 90 seconds to say yes. Huh. That could be why the E-mini was selling there. Great British Pound trades to new highs. Hasn't really been since we said that, though. Why wait for a pullback before going long? Well, here's my problem. Today is a day that, contextually speaking, there's not really a lot of reason for things to be moving. Like, there's not some news release or something like that that's pushing us up. So, somebody did buy it, but we don't know why. Don't know why. And I have no way of really seeing how far it's going to go. I can see that something happened here at 06. You know what I mean? Like, I can see buying pressure. Yes. But that's only half of the equation. The other half of the equation is, well, there's really three or four parts, but another significant part is the risk reward. If I buy at '07, what realistically is my risk reward? I mean, the reward is unknowable. I don't even really see anything here in the level 2. Maybe these 58s here at 10 and 10 half. Maybe this 0 in ZB, of course. I don't know, they're stacking a little bit at 31 as well, which means that could be significant. You know what I mean? And then beyond that, then what is it? The '08? I don't know. And that's like super far on like a day that I really don't understand why it's moving up. But what's our risk to the downside? Well, man, I mean, that thing came up really fast. It could come back at least to '04 half. You know what I mean? So you would have to risk a lot. Could come to '04 half and still come back up and make a new high, frankly. So there's no reason for me to want to get involved here. Because while I see pressure, I don't see enough to know if that pressure is able, how far that pressure is able to continue. So I can't take it. I just have to watch and go, oh, that's a really great move. Shucks. You know? Like if you bought it way back here at '05, that would have been great. And we could have done that. We could have done that right at the beginning of the session. We could have just said, I think they're going to buy it today and buy it. But other than that, how do you know which way it's going to go? And that was like an 8-tick move up. For why? I don't know why. Just because it's the day after a holiday and there's like pent up, demand to do something? Well, okay, so you're saying there's a low volume node. So I suppose we could be looking at, well, so one thing is there is this little peak spot up here, right? So like in ZF it's 22 3/4. In ZN it's 120, oh no, not 120, 085. 085, but that's still only a few ticks up. And then beyond that, there's 120. There was actually a decent amount, not a ton, but a little bit of volume traded through in this area. So, I don't know. But it's just not a trade that I normally take. I'm honestly more interested in selling it here. If it shows me a spot, as of yet, it's kind of giving me like potentially maybe, but it's not giving me a strong enough thing to feel really confident about taking it. So I don't know. May yet continue to move up. I mean, if you have the way that you trade is that I know that there's a high probability that it's going to go up, and I know statistically that this certain price is going to be touched, like this '01. Like if I can sit down and say it's not going to get below '06 half and it's going to get to 10, then then you could take that one. And if you have you know statistics to back that up, or that's a trade that you normally take, then go for it. But this is one that I don't understand. I have an easy reference point here for a sell. Just sell 30, 31, and if evens breaks, scrap it. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's kind of what I've been looking at. What I would like to see is a really big iceberg in the 10-year on the offer. That would probably be the easiest and most logical thing to happen, which is probably why we probably won't see it. But this is a lot there. Not only is there a lot at 1905, but there's a lot at 31. If we saw a lot at 01, it would be even more clear that this is significant resistance that will be extremely difficult to take out. Yeah, you're risking 3 for a potential 8. Right. But that's still like, we need to see something that would tell us that it's not going to make it through. So like one thing that could happen is if I see a lot get absorbed on the bid. We ticked it down and it really didn't take a whole lot to take it down. And then it's ticked back up. We've seen so much of movement here that I really can't sit down and say, 2,000 is too high. They can't get through that. How do I know that? Because there could be all sorts of hidden demand out there in the market that's just going to come in and take out that evens, right? So that those big orders in my head aren't automatically a spot to take it. Buy volume is still juiced, so I don't think I'm going to do it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I think I need some better relative volume indicators because in my head, this is still pretty slow and still relatively light volume, isn't it? Yeah, for going short, I will wait for an imbalance in the print or absorption. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I haven't really seen that. The only thing that I ever saw was that this went bid for a slight moment and then back off. Like there's more on the offer or in the next 5 prices than there is on the bid actually. Because here you've got 5, 6, 5. Well, those are both really 6 and 5, right? And below us, what do we got? We got 1, 5, and the rest are all 4s. 5 and 5, I guess. That's why you see an imbalance of about 4,000 more contracts on the offer than you do on the bid. But the absorption continues to be buying. Here, 3,000 buying into 7.5. That could be an indication that we're about to take a step higher again. Okay, so the E-mini ticked up a little bit there and they backed off. And they traded 5,000 into that 7.5s. So now I'm thinking, even though there was 5,000 absorbed there on the bid at 7.5, that would be the kind of action indicative of a level break to go higher. We have had pretty decent trend, so you could maybe take it, but the context of the day tells me that we still have to be careful. You never would have gotten filled if you had been offered 07.5. They did take 07 offer as well. So this is the strongest sell that we've seen all morning. 2 ticks down. Can you believe that? 2 ticks down is the strongest sell we've seen all day. Walmart soaring on the back of its earnings this morning, but the overall market is down. You can see it here though. They definitely bought it. Right here. A little bit of cumulative delta long, and equities are coming back up. Okay. Oh, I'm talking mostly about treasuries. Yeah, because the treasuries have had this huge move up. These are all treasuries. This one is a 5-year. This middle one is the 10-year. This one is the 30-year. And then the one on the far left is equities, S&P 500. Bitcoin is, the Bitcoin futures is this one down here. So since we've started this morning, they've come back a little bit. And they're kind of holding, like maybe they're going to hold it and go higher or something. I don't know. Trump told Moon he expects great achievement in Hanoi. Oh, GDP price index at the most recent auction rises 0.9%. I don't know what that means. Okay, yeah, he understands. Okay, so there's still, they tried to make that to go offer and it didn't do anything. And in fact, the 5-year is pushing the other way. Hmm. I don't think this is going to fill before the next tick down. The 5-year in particular is very much pointed down. Bank of Japan unexpectedly reaffirms readiness to ease further buy more stuff. Aha. That could be something that moves us up. Or that would explain why we moved up. I should clarify that that's a possible driver for why we've already moved up. It might not necessarily be for moving up more. Okay, so I'm seeing a little bit more absorbed here at 07. I do kind of see in the Bitcoin futures the cumulative delta. If I can highlight it here. It's very subtle, but can you see how it's kind of moving? It's kind of curving down. They might be setting up short. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Well, the E-mini almost completely retraced that little bit right there. Since that was the move that pushed us up from 06. Macro, it's all bullshit. They keep reducing quantitative easing but try and mitigate the effects by talking dovish. Currency manipulation will be front and center during US Japanese talks. Says FX Macro on Twitter. Most probably due to trade talks with fear of retaliation from the EU turning into a full trade war. Lots of statements from the EU, very unusual. Hmm. So I guess they're saying people buying into US treasuries because they're afraid of. That would be really interesting if there was a euro. There was tension between euro and Japan in terms of a trade war. Do you also trade the euro? I only trade the 10-year. Um, I think Zerv talked about messing around with the euro dollars once, and I don't know what happened with that. If he still does it or what, but nope. Euro dollar is too fat for me. Don't not into that. I have a video on my channel that I posted a few weeks ago called "Which Futures Product Should I Trade?" So you can, if you watch that video, I kind of go into more about why I trade what I do. Can I expect a pullback on Bitcoin, or should I buy in now? So I can't give that kind of advice, let's say. So, but what I can do is I can tell you what I would be doing. I have a little bit of money in the crypto market, but right now it is sitting in cash. And if I had the ability to short it and they got above 4,000, 4,300, I would 100% go short. Just straight up, that's what I would do if I had the ability to go short, which I don't. because anytime that we get above that level on a valuation basis, it just completely falls apart. It's almost guaranteed every time that they do it. They just go. So that's what I would be doing. Could there be another move up here in Bitcoin? I mean, who knows? The problem with this sort of a thing is that this whole move up could have been driven by one guy for all we know, right? So if you're trying to predict what one guy is going to do, that's super hard, right? Yeah. Don't do leverage, just Binance and scalper percentages. Yeah, I've looked into shorting many times, but I never found a way to do so that was safe with U.S. laws and everything. Rand Swak has a thing about which Democrats are running for president from the Financial Times. By the way, I am still planning on doing the weekly Democrat primary race, but I wasn't able to do it this weekend because my camera was gone. So, plus there wasn't really a ton of news this past week, so of course they're waiting to dump it all after the holiday. So next episode we should have a lot to talk about. And then we'll get a little bit of time to see how people are reacting to Bernie Sanders getting in the ring. Maybe by that point Joe Biden will get in. Okay, so there was a little bit of polling there at 08, and then it stacked up as the E-mini opened, and the E-mini is buying on the open. At least the first impulse in the E-mini was a buy. Okay, somebody bought that 08, but they completely absorbed it and have now stacked 3,000 more on the offer. That is also curious. Okay, a little pullback. Bulls are making another little bit of a push. Not enough, still just within the range. Many YouTubers expected a pullback on Bitcoin because the RSI is overbought. Well, that makes it even more interesting, doesn't it? Well, that's where I'm saying, well, like, think of it this way. Like, it was a holiday in the US, right? There was less people watching it yesterday than there normally would be on any other Monday because it was a holiday. And you have the big move on a Monday holiday, right? So, just saying, this move in Bitcoin is a little bit suspect. And now we're saying it's actually overextending beyond many technical measures as well, such as RSI. This has all of the makings in my mind of a pump and dump. E-mini's still not quite sure what it wants to do, I guess. I'd say the market volume, the market buys versus market sells, appears to be mostly on the buy side by about 1,000 contracts. But there has not been a clear impulse other than the buying on the open, which wasn't really super crazy or anything. Okay. So there was a little bit stronger of a buy. And they're eyeing that 2770 where there's a bunch of size being stacked. And the treasuries are all ticking down into '07 now as well. Good deal. My target is about right. 04.5 is right on the edge there. It could come all the way back, frankly, but I'm not 100% confident about that. So, oh, by the way, hi Julian, or Jan, I did see you. I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a good Monday while we were gone. Okay, so now they are ticking into 2770. Okay. They're nibbling at it. Okay. They hit it and there was a little bit of a stop run. Okay. Now they're back up to it. I would say that that's probably good for some more. Yeah. Okay. Now are we going to see pulling in the treasuries? That was 6.5's not pulling. Okay, now 3,025. And that's good. Okay, digital shot took +5. That's okay. The last 4 of it. Okay, that 060. I'd expect that there would be a reasonable amount of volume we'll trade at '06. Good morning, Ace. Did you take a trade on that? No, you mean he looking pretty strong. Well, it's pulling. It's pulling now. I don't know. We just know that because there was a block buy there, there's going to be interest at '06. Let's put Tyler buy here. Ace is just sitting on his hands, huh? Well, that's not that's maybe the smart decision. Because Treasuries really moved up there, and we're really not quite sure why. Okay, so 2,700. So that right there is kind of what I was saying. We'll probably trade 3,000 to 4,000, maybe even 5,000 there at '06. That doesn't mean that they can't go through it, but it's just that there's going to be more interest at that price because that was the big block buy there. It also means that until we get like 2 ticks past that, we're not really sure if we're still like in an uptrend or not. Right? Like this is unfinished. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could maybe trade 05 half. And here in ZB, They've only come back 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're still just in a pullback. Now, equities are running into pretty significant resistance at many steps here. 2771.50 had 2500 there in order to get out. They did push through it. It seems like once again we're kind of in that spot where it's like you got to think about maybe taking it off because it's slowed down, but then when I do take it off, it continues through. And then when I decide to keep it, it doesn't. It's like I always get that one wrong. Forex Live, US stocks open with modest declines. Yes, if you're just looking at the overnight action. Modest decline, but they are trying to buy it up. Okay, so they just sold through 06 and they're holding an okay offer. There was a reasonable amount absorbed at 06, but as we said, there's going to be interest there. There could be interest on it coming back up. No. Only 889 to make it tick back up, and they put 2000 on the bid again. Ugh, and look at here in the E-mini. Tons of volume here at this spot. They sold it again, but it was 2000. You have to take it off here. As much as I don't want to. Okay. Yeah. Digital Shot saying don't really like the way it worked out in ZB. Could have pushed through, but it just exhausted. It looked like 47 was going to bust for a minute before it sold off. Yeah. Well, that's where I took it at 07.5, right? Because I saw the iceberg here at 08, and I saw that even though they were doing like a level break sort of a setup here, they weren't ticking it back up. So I knew that I could get, and then I had a sell there, and it was really hard to get filled. So it took so long. I was really nervous, but I took it because of that. And then the E-mini bought, and it reversed down. I feel like the only reason that it moved down was because of ES. I don't think it was because there wasn't people willing to buy it up there. You know what I mean? And like I said, we're technically still in a pullback. So you could potentially buy it at 06 and see new highs. Like you could still maybe buy it at 06 and sell it at 10. Or conversely buy 28 and see 01 to 04. It just depends on what ES is going to do here. There is a lot of volume trading at 27.7250 both ways, and it looks like that the E-mini might turn around. It looks like that the E-mini might turn around, and if they do, we could push back up there. Lizard alligator saying could it revisit later today or tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you get an unfinished auction like that, especially in well, I guess that in CB it could be considered finished, but in the 10-year, there's a reasonable chance that it's going to go back up to it. I don't remember the stats that we had. Somebody, I think that I forget who it was, but we had a guy in here that did a little stat for us, and it was something like 55% on the unfinished auction thing that they would revisit it, or that they would eventually move higher. Seeing that 060 is now stacked 4700, I think I have to say that I made the right choice there. As much as it pains me, because I would love to continue to be short. But, oh well. Catch the pullback. That's good. Decisions, right? Well, this is the one where
block sell.
Okay, so block sell at 6. That kind of changes things. Because there was a block buy at that price and now seeing a block sell at that price, that kind of negates the buy. So now I think that the chances of it continuing down here are a little bit higher. In fact, they may be possible if you were on the offer right now at 06 that you might not get filled. You might start seeing people sell into 05.5. What's this? Oh. James Melville posts a big long list of companies that are leaving the UK, and they say, but apparently it's got nothing to do with Brexit. Well, of course. People keep kind of pushing this strange idea that people expected Britain to leave the EU and it not affect companies. course it's going to affect the companies. Of course it's going to make some people not want to be in the UK. Why would you want to be in the UK when you can be in Mexico or China or, And then things are just going to be a little bit harder for businesses, at least in the short term. And companies these days seem to be so short-term focused. Yeah. People are going to leave. But I think that the Brexiters knew that. I think that they kind of expected that. There you go. Well, 5 half goes offer. 1,500. Trying to buy it back up, and they're stacking some more on there. So maybe now we'll see my original target at 0.4 half. Yeah. 0.5 half really stacking up there. 3,000. Jay Costin says he needs the, well, thank you for joining us again here every day. So hopefully we'll see you later and have a good day. Alibaba is the force behind China. Ugh. Okay. They're just selling their crap out of this thing now. I mean, look at the delta. Ugh. The cumulative delta in the 10-year on this move is ugh. Barely any move. We had a 14 tick move up? Barely any move up in cumulative delta. And now we're only halfway back. We're only just barely now touching 0.45, which was the overnight high, right? One of the places where you could potentially see support. And you're seeing block sells and huge delta going the other way. And now all of a sudden this looks like a pump and dump in treasuries. Isn't that interesting? Brexit supporters hopefully do not expect perfection, but rather less suck over time with progressive improvement in the overall condition of things. Yeah, I think exactly. I think that to be on the side of Brexit, of course, I'm sure there probably are some people that think that everything, the economy and all those will be instantly better once they leave. I think that you probably don't understand economics and trade if you do that, but at the same time, I've seen stranger things, so but I think that really the reason you're doing it is because of freedom, right? You're doing it because you're saying that the Euro, what do we call it? The European Union. We're saying that the European Union is not an effective form of government and takes freedom away from the people and is not in my country's best interests. I think that's what you have to be saying when you do this, and you have to say, I understand that there will be short-term economic consequences, but in the long-term, it's worth it for the increased freedom. Right? Am I wrong? I think that's the way that the majority of the Brexit supporters view things. And so every time that these guys come out and they say, hey, look, it's big scary. If you leave, there's going to be a recession or trade's not going to be so good. I think that those people just kind of shrug it off because they know that that's just like the same scare tactics from the very beginning. And they know that maybe it really is going to happen because maybe those people really do have the power to make that happen. But that's not why they're doing it. Okay, we've had a pretty strong few ticks up here. I'm kind of wondering, because I sat that one out, they did not trade through 04 half. They're bouncing off of 04 half. So my original trade is actually playing out. Kind of. I wouldn't have gotten filled at 04 half. So I would have had to take 05. So there was two more in that. Which is still not all that spectacular. But now we're moving up. Are we going to get like one of those like pullback, lower high, move back down sort of a thing? You know what I mean? Or are they just not even going to be able to get past 06 half? And see, the thing is I keep seeing in the E-mini, maybe they're going to move lower. Like, you see on these bubbles here? That's a lot of bubbles. A lot of bubbles in the E-mini. But then, look, we push through it. Push through it. So, yeah, this could really do anything. And from a risk-reward perspective, I'm not so sure. Well, you could be taking 04 half, but then you would have to be saying that we're going to go back to 05 and risking going up to 08 or maybe more. So risk-reward short doesn't really make sense to me. I think we need acceptance below 05 for the market to go down. Oh, you mean here in the 10-year? Yeah. See, I'm actually thinking about long, just because of the way that it reacted at 04 half. I think it's a little bit too late, but I'm actually thinking long and take it off at like 07 half and reverse. Sketchy. Yeah. It's a little, the way that it's trading back and forth there at 05 half kind of means that it's, makes it unsure where we're actually going to go from here. You need to want to take a trade. Honestly, on a Tuesday, a no news Tuesday with extremely odd action, for me to take one trade and make 3 ticks, I would be happy with that. Oh, they do have the housing market index at the top of the hour. Forgot about that. So let's look that up. So we are expecting a reading of 59 versus a prior reading of 58 in the NAHB housing market index. And just as an explanation, this is level of a diffusion index based on surveyed home builders. Okay. Above 50 indicates a favorable outlook on home sales. Derived via a survey of about 900 home builders, which asks respondents to rate the relative level of current and future single-family home sales. Okay. So, 59 is actually a pretty good reading, relatively speaking. Apparently it's very icy out there in Utah. Police giving all sorts of warnings. See, it's a hard one to take, but I'm still thinking you could go long 05. We'll see. I don't know. ES isn't backing off yet. Be careful. Like here it is in delta. So it actually is a higher high in cumulative delta. That's why everything on this side here is blue. So essentially we've got some sort of a divergence going on here in equities. Oh, I do see, by the way, on this move up, Brit's moving up. E-mini getting ready to drop? You think so, huh? Well, there's a big offer there. I don't know. Yeah, and they traded into it, and then just another one showed up a little bit higher. I think I have to buy that right there. Well, it went to 500 and it didn't go. And you're gonna have to hold a really tight one here. He says, Ace Trade says he's not exactly sure about that. I can kind of see what you're saying, though. There has definitely been a shift here. Now you're starting to get these offers. Like there was an offer here, they went through it, they came back down, and now there's another offer, not quite as big, but another offer just a little bit higher. And there's been a little bit more selling. It hasn't resulted in a turn down in cumulative delta, but it does appear like something's happening. And as I've said, the currencies have been moving here. The currencies have been moving. The euro and the British pound have been moving up, and the yen has come down with treasuries. But now the yen is back to the point where you would maybe see support just based up purely on levels. Okay, well, there's the E-mini back up at the high, just as we settle on that. And quite a bit of volume trading there at 27.75.50. And this at 05 half still looking the same. Yeah. Okay, that completely pulled it 05. Completely pulled it 05, and now it's 2,500 bid, 2,800 bid. So That's what I was looking for. So 2,000 on the bid. 2,000 on the bid. 1,000 sold into it, trying to push it back down when it ticked up. Immediately, a few orders went into '06, but only 5. Now the E-mini having a pretty good 5 ticks down, pushing the bottom of this range now. I think that they might turn around here for a bit. Nope. Not giving up yet. Okay. Housing Market Index 62 versus 59. I didn't see that when I should have. I'm sorry, guys. The number was pretty good. Yeah, Digital Shot calling that what happened at '05 a lure. It definitely was the first time, but they only took a tick out of it. And now it's actually looking kind of weak again, as the equities were able to move back up to their highs. Okay. Now you're definitely getting you're getting a little bit of a battle here in the equities. Unclear which side will win. Hard time getting past 27.75. So that's a big order there, and it's, I do think it's a little odd to see that them tick up to it and be there for this long in equities. Wonder. Just to me, to have gone down to '06, going flat, then finally, after a long time, a little bit of a step lower, and now to be back up, trading into '06, and having seen a little bit of luring behavior at '05, that is a little suspicious to me. So I still think that we could have a little bit of a move up. And again, the E-mini is just, normally when there's a big order, they just go for it, like they just eat through it right up. And now it seems like that the buyers aren't so sure. Would be tempted to go short 27.75 with a tight stop. Well, why wouldn't you take it? Did you already take your trade? 5 heavily armed suspected U.S. Marines arrested in Haiti. Oh? think the market starts to bounce right here, so this becoming 50-50 on the 10 years. See, before, when it sold off from those levels in the E-mini, the selling looked pretty strong. At the moment, it just kind of looks dead to me. You know? They seem to have no trouble moving up and down. You know, until they get to 27.75, 75, and then it's like, well, why don't you just buy it? Then they don't. Okay, Ace did take a short. With the cumulative delta did come back a little bit. So there was, we weren't imagining things. There was some selling here in equities. Treasuries, though, not so sure. They're going back and forth here in this area. Suppose that my price is okay. Okay, a lot traded there into 05 half and it didn't go. So that might be a clue. Say cumulative delta in the 10-year still looks pretty negative, but I don't see the same thing in the 30 and the 5, especially not in the 30. Three tick stop, wow. Right, because you get the big order like right there. It is now 900. Well, they're trading it now. See, okay, so that is more like what I would expect to see in equities. They trade into it and then trade back. Okay. Yeah, he got stumped out on that move. But the interesting thing is that the treasuries are still actually kind of trying to look strong here. ECB Pre-8. EU needs to be careful about industrial policy. Nikki Haley tweeted about the Jussie Smollett case. He must be held accountable in the strictest way. He must repay resources used to investigate and serve time for the division he caused. The media should be the most outraged. He played all of them for fools. He knew they would cover it. She's not wrong. I say, when Donald Trump gets out of office, whether it's this term or the next term when his 2 years or 8 years are up, Nikki Haley looks like a really strong contender for the GOP nomination. That would be hilarious if the Republicans beat the Democrats to having the first woman president. I think that Nikki Haley has a better chance of becoming president than, like, say, Kamala Harris. Well, this is just not stopping in the E-mini. They're not giving up 05 quite yet, but it looks weak, and I think that this trade isn't really working out. So, yeah. Okay. So are they going to hit into 0 for a half now? Ugh, food's hitting my stomach. Hmm. So the question now is, well, we got 15 minutes here for the reversal time period. Hmm. Could 2020 Dems see a sustained three-way race, though it's unprecedented in recent history? More in party think it might be if a white centrist New Hampshire settles Sanders' Warren battle for white libs, and South Carolina anoints a candidate of color between Booker and Harris. Hmm. So it's interesting when you read Nate Silver's posts. He's almost 100% focused on the demographics of things, which is kind of sad. Because that means that it really is that significant of a factor as to who gets elected, and not the policy or the qualifications of the person. I'm sure that will change as people get to know the candidates, but... Ruth Bader Ginsburg takes the bench at the Supreme Court for oral arguments for the first time since announcing cancer surgery in December. Okay. Well, O5 was starting to act a little bit weird, but now it's holding a little bit more of an offer. Okay. Equities at the low of their range. Kind of the same thing. It's kind of they get down there and they act like they just don't want to do anything. Okay, well they went bid at 05 again, and it actually looks like an okay stack. Ah, look, that order pulled. The bid pulled. They're still willing to trade it back and forth. The mainstream media politicians have been fueling identity politics for decades because they think it is a long term strategy, but they fail to realize that those identities are getting murky with time. I, well, I think that the statistics show that demographics play a very significant role, let's not say play a very significant role. Let's say demographics are very predictive of the way that somebody is going to vote. Especially in the United States, the most extreme example being that African Americans almost always vote for Democrats by wide margins. That is decreasing, but by wide margins. I think that the Democrat Party is having a problem here because, aside from somehow being able to convince the country that Donald Trump is racist, which I simply don't believe. Maybe we could argue about that another day, but I don't buy it. I don't think that there's any reasonable evidence to believe that that's the case. Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you my DOM. I'll show you my DOM since you're not watching. Anyways, and when eventually that's going to go away. Because either one, people are going to realize that Donald Trump really isn't racist, or B, Donald Trump is going to not be president anymore. You know, what happens if Republicans nominate a black Republican nominee for president in the next, and let's look like far out, like in the next 30 years, right? Democrats are going to completely lose the black vote because when you really look at the policy wise, okay, Democrats are supporting illegal immigration, they're supporting more global trade, and they're kind of like anti small business sort of a thing. And so when you look at the things that like help the black community the most right now, that's it, man. Like those are the things that that benefit them the most right now. Um, okay, so I did get the +2. +06 half +07 is still a toughie. This, so sorry, there was a couple of other comments here. Starting to see the wane, e.g., the walk away movement. Yes, exactly. Like I really do think that a lot of African Americans are starting to realize that the Democrat Party is not necessarily representing their interests very well right now, and that they haven't done a very good job at actually helping the black community. Like that statistic that it was like the number of small businesses started by African Americans since Donald Trump became president, and I'm really not sure what it is that caused that, but that is definitely significant statistic. Oh, Adrian says '06 was a good spot to take one off, and I'm not saying that because I did the same thing. Yeah. But anyways, that's a significant thing. You could see a demographic change, especially if the Democrat Party continues to push the policies that they are, because the pushing the illegal immigrant thing, I think is kind of like a, I don't know. To me, it seems like a poor long term strategy, but I could be wrong. Okay, so there's a lot trading there at 06.5. So some other comments. 2020 election is going to be hilarious for Democrats. A massive dumpster fire of identity politics and digging up social sins against identities. Yes. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Okay, so like just as an example, Kamala Harris, perhaps her career started because she was sleeping with this local politician guy, right? And that one's been admitted. And so while it might seem like the dirt is out now and people won't care about it, you watch the primaries get going, and if she's still up there at the top, they are going to destroy her. It will be, if Kamala Harris ends up being like the top front runner against the establishment candidate, which will probably be Joe Biden. I mean, that's kind of what that the common wisdom is, that Joe Biden is going to be the front runner and everybody's going to be running against him. Okay, so if the common wisdom holds and Kamala Harris becomes the top contender for the progressive wing of the party against Joe Biden, they are going to annihilate her. It is going to be nuts. It will be absolutely nuts. In the USA does not care who wins. The banks and Wall Street make the legislation. Yeah, well, the thing is that businesses have the money. I think the problem. I'm not of the opinion that like the banks are evil and are intentionally trying to harm the regular citizens and things like that. I think it's kind of more like that the banks just present to Washington, the things that would help them the most, or what, like they're doing their job. I feel like their job should be, we understand finance. This is finance, the politics of finance as we understand it and what we think should happen. The problem has been that the politicians have not been smart enough to look at that and try and balance that with the needs of everybody else. Like, they don't necessarily have to be in conflict. You know what I mean? Okay, there's enough trading into 06.5. I think I'm going to wait and see if it goes for another. And I only saw futures. Dominic says, I missed my entry on ZN. Feels like I was chasing after it, which breaks one of my rules. Short selling is evil and un-American. Okay, well, it did go offer for a second. I'm thinking about just doing it. I don't know. The E-mini is still not breaking, and it's 8:30, so I guess I have to close it. Yeah. Yeah, I have to take it. Oh, I can almost hear the straight white male cries against Joe Biden already. Oh, yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, all of the people, like when I'm reading from the doc, because I posted, my analysis video last week. And it was interesting because the only place that would actually let me post my video was the Donald Trump subreddit. Because I really wanted to hear what the Bernie Sanders supporters were going to say about it. Because it really looks to me like Kamala Harris and Cory Booker are playing stalking horses for each other. Go and watch that video and then leave a comment on that video and tell me if you see it too. It looks like Cory Booker is playing stalking horse for Kamala Harris. It really does. And I think if that is the case, Kamala Harris is going to have to really hit out against Joe Biden. So, not only put Joe Biden, but Bernie Sanders. And all of the Donald Trump supporters were saying, we're totally on the, that's the person that the Uniparty wants. And the Uniparty is going to use the progressives against each other, basically, to prevent that side of the party from gaining any power, right? They're just using them to get the votes, pretending like that they're super liberal when that's really not what they want. They're the Uniparty. There goes 47 finally. Oh yeah, it did go. I didn't even think about that. So yeah, they did take 07. Maybe they go higher. This is like right after the time frame that I wanted to see it reverse happened. Then the E-media decided that they were going to sell, and it bought up. So I could have gotten 07, 07.5. I could have gotten 2 more ticks. I could have gotten 8 plus 8 today. Right. Okay, Seth, are you paying for Price Squawk? No, I don't. Price Squawk is the thing built into here where it will read the prices as it moves up and down, right? I don't remember where it is anymore. Somewhere in there. Maybe it's in the depth thing. Yeah. Anyways, the only job of politics is to play people against each other so that they do not understand who really governs and enriches themselves. Well, that definitely happens. Oh my gosh. I gotta tell you what, if you're looking at legislation and what you're seeing on TV is confusing, that's probably intentional. So you notice that the bills that everybody likes are always really simple, right? But they go on to say all this complicated stuff, like, taxes especially. They try and make it all complicated. like way more complicated than it actually ends up being. Healthcare, probably the best example. An unnecessarily complicated bill that was really intentionally designed in a way to fool the public. 100%. Like, I think that we can say that now. Not only because we know how that actually turned out. Wow, well, that was a pretty strong tick up there at 08. I think he's going to really come back now, I think. Well, they must think that it's going to really come back. Anyways. It's so hard watching this, knowing that I got out too early. Because this is exactly the trade that I was thinking. I wasn't sure if they were going to go and make a new high, but I thought the E-mini is going to turn down here, and we're going to move up. And look, they did it, but I only took 5 ticks out of it. Well, 5 ticks worth of profit. I really only took 3 ticks, basically, on 2 contracts. From 05 to 06 half, and now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could have gotten double that. Oh well. Anyways, with the healthcare law. Not only do we know now just because we know how the healthcare law came out, but then the guy that basically designed the healthcare law basically admitted that they wrote it in that way. They wrote it, 1, to confuse the public, but 2, to make it so that it was difficult for Republicans to vote against it politically, even though it was a really bad idea and they knew it. And I think that to some extent they've admitted that it was designed to fail so that they could try and push socialized healthcare. I think that's what happened. Ion Su Hong got out at 065. Well, I hope that if you guys got out that you didn't do it because I got out. So I tried to make it clear there that a big part of why I was getting out there was because of when I have to go into work, right? Yeah, you have to leave in the next 20 minutes here. Have time to talk, but what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so I was talking about banks. This is the point that I wanted to get out. I feel like that banks and businesses are doing their job in terms of how they interact with politics. Like, their job is that they're supposed to tell politicians what their interests are and what works best for them. Because really, government and business can work together to try and create an environment that is most conducive to more business. And that's going to be good for the economy in the long run, right? The problem has been that the politicians don't take that in balance at all. They just do what the donors tell them to do. I think that it's gotten to the point now. I think that what has happened, here's a theory. I don't have anything to back this up. Like, I don't have any statistics to back this up, but this is what I kind of feel like happens just from like watching it locally, is I feel like you get these people that they say, okay, like, I got some buddies and get some money and everything. I can probably run for office. And then they get in office, and the truth is that these people really don't know a whole lot about the issues that they're talking about, and they really don't know a whole lot about how to balance out the interests of different constituents, right? They don't know how to say, well, this particular thing would be good for business, but it would be really bad for labor. And if we made this one little change, it could still be good for business, but it could also be good for labor, and we could balance out the interests of the different parties. You know what I mean? And the people that are in office, because they're not actually like really involved in these issues, and they're just kind of the representative, and the only person that they have to listen to is the lobbyist who is for the bank. And so they only do what the bank says, and they never look at the other side of the issue and try and get the other side of the issue in there. And so you have a whole half of the market essentially that isn't being properly represented in Congress, I feel. And I say that because I've known some of these representatives, like personally worked with them on the campaign trail. And I'm not trying to elevate myself or anything of that nature. I mean, I know when I say that sort of thing that it kind of sounds egotistical, but like I don't necessarily want to be a politician because I have a very short attention span, and sitting in those congressional meetings all day would be like the most boring thing for me. So I don't want to do it, okay? But I know from having interacted with a lot of politicians, I know more about these issues than they do. I do. Not only do I read more news than these people do, but I've been involved in the industry. I know a lot about, well, not a lot, but I know quite a bit about finance. I know a lot about markets and trading at the very least. And these politicians, they don't get those things at all. I know quite a bit about healthcare because I work for a healthcare company. There's all these things that I don't feel like that the politicians understand at all until they talk to the lobbyist, you know? And you have somebody that I think is actually very easily influenced by lobbying. Not even just because of the money. I know a lot of people make a big deal about the money, but just simply because they don't have any information and they're only getting information from one side. Or one side is doing a better job at it or something. You know? I think that's where we've got to make the change. I don't think that fixing the money side of it fixes it. I think that you need to just have better representatives. And if you had better representatives, frankly, it would be better for they would be able to stay in office longer. You know, if they were able to properly represent all of the different sides a little bit better, wouldn't they? All right. Well, they're coming back here now, but they sure pushed up strongly there. Why do you think that there's so much demand for treasuries right now? Digital Shot took it all the way at 09. Good job. Very nice. I'm not sure I understand why they're buying so much. Anyways, banks does not equal the Fed. Make others dependent on you. The more you choose others, the more power you have. You have complete freedom if only you are responsible for each decision. Make people dependent on you, and they will all come to you. Yeah, well, yeah, but that's like the other side of power is like you get this situation where the only reason that you're in office is because you got campaign money from this one rich guy. And then if this one rich guy doesn't support you, you're not going to be able to compete anymore. You know, like the politicians are really not their own people. They represent the interests of the people that elected them. And if they start going against the interests of the people that elected them, then they're in big trouble. And part of the reason why politics in the modern era have so much problem is because they're not really representatives anymore. You know what I mean? Like, how do I explain this? I forget the word. I'm looking for a word right now, and I can't look at it. But it's the difference between, is this person elected to look at issues for us and understand those issues for us and make the right decision because we trust their judgment and we trust that they have access to information that we don't have, and they really understand the issue and know what the right decision is? Or are we electing them to do what we say they should do? And in the past, it's been the former. People, the average person, just simply did not have access to all of the information to write these kinds of laws and understand what's going on in the world. Now, because the world is so global and we have the internet to read, everybody feels like they understand these issues. And so the politicians basically have to do what the public wants to do. And what the public wants to do isn't always the right thing. Right? And so in cases where the politicians would have had cover to make a decision that was maybe politically unpopular, but they get away with it because nobody was paying attention and it really was the right decision, now that doesn't happen anymore. Now that doesn't happen anymore. Why would you go short there? Okay, well, it might come back down. This is going to be interesting. Anyways, I think that's part of the problem. I think that we would be better off if people understood that from the public's perspective, yes, we want to tell politicians what we think, whether we're for or against something, because that is a important factor in their calculus. But we need to get away from this. If this politician doesn't do exactly what I say, I'm going to primary them and they're going to get I mean, on some issues, that was maybe a thing. Like if they got rid of gun control, like that would be a justifiable thing for that. But people are doing it over every fucking bill. And politicians just can't make the right decisions anymore because of that. We need to give them a little bit more leeway. That's probably a little bit too much for people to understand, but you're right. But I guess the larger point that I was trying to make was that it's not that the banks have like the vampire squid. They've sunk their tentacles into every part of the political establishment, and they're doing this evil and dishonest thing. And I don't think it's that. I think it's just that this system is set up in a way that is making this do its thing, and everybody is trying to do the right thing. Everybody is trying to do what they think is the best thing. But the truth is that the system has fundamental flaws in it that we need to fix. And that's where I think that the fundamental flaws are, is one, the representatives need to do a better job at trying to balance the interests of different constituents. And two, the people need to understand that their job is to make the right decision and not necessarily the popular decision. So that's my spill for today. Okay, Fed's muster flexible inflation goal works well. I guess that's a dovish thing that he said that maybe could have justified us moving higher. I still find these levels here at 122.080 a little odd. Of course, I also just find that whole initial move up to be really unusual. And I don't understand why it happened. But we made money. I actually made pretty good money. I don't think that it outdid some of this other stuff. Let's just look at the last week, shall we? Because I think that over the last week we might actually be just barely positive, or maybe even a little negative. Yeah, a little negative, because we had too many of these big losers up here at the top. So, okay, but we did dig ourselves out of the hole from the 15th. So we're getting there. We're getting there. And are we positive for the month? Let's check that. For the month starting with the 1st. Oh, we're positive on the month. That's good. Had some really big winners here. Somewhere in here there's a really big winner. Yep, 312. That one was an amazing trade. That was an amazing trade. Cool. So I'm happy. Not as happy as I would be if I had sold at 09, but that's good. All right, well, I don't really see any comments, so I'm going to go and post my notes. Close down the stream. Good talking today. I appreciate the comments as always. Appreciate all the views. We've been doing really good on views. So, like, we really are growing. So it used to be we would average 12 dozen people a day to 16, and now we're averaging 20 to 24. So we're growing. I appreciate it. We do have one. The task of journalists is to destroy the truth, to straight out lie, to twist, to denigrate, to shower at the feet of mammon, and to sell his land and race for his daily bread. You know it. Oh, that was a quote from editorial editor of the New York Times. I want to say when I first saw your channel months ago, you were trading stocks, right? No, I've never traded stocks. I've always been doing futures. But when the first time that I streamed,
Block
it,
die.
I know that's interesting. The first time that I streamed it was because there was the Bitcoin futures were opening up, and so that's kind of how that started. Even though I don't really scalp Bitcoin, right? I did take a trade from 6,000 to 10,000, and now it continues to keep being overbought. Jesse told the truth. I'm not quite sure, man. But what's been going on in the news is crazy. But let's talk about that tomorrow, because man, that could be a long, long talk. Because I'm not quite sure why. Well, I think I do know why. I think that people aren't looking at things objectively. But we should talk about that another day. 12,000 on the bid at '09. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna post the notes and I'm gonna let this go for another 10 minutes. All right. So you guys have more comments, you can put them in. Okay, Mac. So, wrong. Hope you're still there. He asks, what's your opinion of penny stock traders in trading? I think that trading to me is the art of watching what other traders and investors are doing and making decisions based purely on a reading of price action and volume. That to me is like pure trading. That's why I trade futures and I trade ZN. Okay. The more people there are to watch and see and trade off of, the better chances you have of being able to make a consistent profit. When you get into a market that is very illiquid, such as Bitcoin, penny stocks, some of the thinner futures, all of these sorts of things, right? You're talking about a situation where one tiny little thing, one investor, one news event, something can completely move the position against you, completely wipe you out. And there is no way that you can ever see it before it happens, know what's going to happen, predict it, or whatever. It's just going to move against you and you're going to be screwed. Right? That is a market that I would not trade. And that is what it is with penny stocks. Like, yeah, you can like double your money or more in penny stocks and it's attractive and you can trade it for very cheap. Yes. But what's going to happen? A whale is going to come in and they're going to buy or sell it. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't predict it. It moves too fast for you to do anything when it's happening. Hey, Lucas. Yeah, I had an okay day. It should have been a lot better. I'm really surprised that they got to 10. I don't know. This is really strong buying, and I just don't know why it's going up. It must have something to do with the currencies, but something's definitely happening. I have to say, there's been a lot of articles out there about like Treasuries and equities don't seem to agree on the economy and which one is going to be right. I'm not so sure I buy that. This does not look to me like people are buying because they're afraid of something that's going to push the stock indexes down. So it does it on its own. There's something else happening, and it appears to be happening in currencies too, that we're just not aware of. I tried selling 90 before it fell, but it didn't get a fill. Well, that's good. We're in 09 now. I don't know. I wish I hadn't have taken 06.5, but that happens sometimes. That was my time frame and everything. Yeah. Anyways, trade a more liquid market. You'll have more consistency. But it is now 9 o'clock. It is time for me to go. I will see you guys tomorrow. This is super crazy. So we'll see where it ends up tomorrow. We might, with the way that this is trading, we could continue to have some okay trading the rest of this week, although I would be careful. Sometimes you will see something where like on a no news Tuesday, it will move a ton and then it just goes dead. So yeah, I would have to see the E-minis start to do something crazy or figure out why it's moving. Is it international news and some piece of news that I'm not very aware of that's moving it? So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.